Ryan, give me a check.
Check.
And Mr. Cowbell.
Excellent.
And okay.
How you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty chill. Since the weather is cooling down in many parts of the country, it's a good time to stay warm indoors and dig up some fun winter facts. I learned that the record for the largest snowflake is 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick.
8 inches thick? That's a big snowflake.
That's a big snowflake. That's not a snowflake, that's a bomb.
This is the AT Banter podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
Hey, and welcome to yet another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
I am Rob Minot. Today, joined by Mr. Ryan Fleury.
Hey there.
And Mr. Steve Barclay.
Howdy.
We got Mr. Cowbell in the room. And we got OK Google.
How's it going, Google?
Can't complain.
Sweet. So we're all here at full house. Hey, how are you guys doing?
All right for Monday?
Like Google, I can't complain.
Well, then you're doing it wrong, Steve.
My football team didn't win yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yay, your football team didn't win, mine did.
New England's got to go. I'm sorry, Brady's amazing, but I don't know. Let somebody else win.
They did.
The Eagles win?
The Eagles won.
Oh, because I bailed on it at halftime.
Did you?
Dude, what are you doing?
Well, it's funny because I asked Alexa or Google who won the Super Bowl after it was over, and they said New England won.
I don't think they did.
Oh, okay. Yay, my team won.
Oh, for crying! I can't believe you should be embarrassed, sir. And here I was feeling all like, oh, geez, I don't have anything to contribute to this. At least I knew who won. I didn't even watch the damn thing. I was more concerned about the Han Solo teaser trailer coming out.
Yeah.
And even I knew that Philadelphia won.
Yay. Hey, who won the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl was won by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yay.
Hey, Google, how many riots were there in Philadelphia last night?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
Well, there were a lot. Let me tell you about it. Thanks a lot, Google. I have to cut
Mass riots. My phone, of course, is getting in on this action too because you keep on talking to it. But yeah, celebrations and riots break out in Philly following Super Bowl win. Philly police scanner reveals horrific scenes in Philadelphia as fans riot.
Wow. Riot
erupts in Philadelphia streets after Eagles win Super Bowl.
Yep.
Lots of headlines.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's a fine line between a celebration and a riot. I got a kick out of some of the reporting, calling it boisterous celebrations broke out, which is a good euphemism for, someone throwing a lamppost through a storefront window.
Yeah, when you turn over a police car, I think it's pretty safe to say, hey, there's a riot going on.
They're just having fun. They're just
boisterous.
They're just boisterous.
They're just celebrating. Yeah. Boys will be boys.
Hey, we got some news stories.
Yeah, we have a few.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a chance to look at that story about that pair of Intel smart glasses that I sent over?
Yes.
I looked at it this morning.
Yeah, it was funny because I was reading it ahead of time and emailed it to myself because I thought it would be something we could talk about. And then I go and check my email and there's you emailing me before I emailed me with the same story.
Great minds think alike.
Yep. They are called Vaunt glasses. You wouldn't know that they were in the glasses. They have built in a low-powered Class 1 laser, as well as a processor, an accelerometer, a Bluetooth chip, and a compass. Intel says that it's so low power that it's at the very bottom end of a class 1 laser. It emits a red monochrome image into your eye at 400 by 150 pixels. Now, as soon as I heard that, 400 by 150 pixels, I thought, hey, we can bring back DOS.
Yeah.
Command line interface.
Now that would be something.
Batch files for the eyes.
For all those DOS aficionados.
Batch files.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty interesting. I mean, you look at the glasses themselves and they literally just look like a normal pair of glasses. There's no weight to them. There's no camera or anything attached to it. And apparently if you watch the video, they make a note of saying how they wanted to make it a lot less intrusive, say, than something like the Google Glass. And even the notifications that pop up in the heads-up display, they wanted it to be very sort of in your peripheral vision as opposed to like popping up right in your central vision. So you could just use them as normal and really not have any sort of the notifications appear unless you want them to. And and they were talking about some sort of head gestures and stuff that you can use to sort of bring the notifications into your central vision and then dismiss them. They look really cool, and I think that it technologically, I think it makes a very interesting platform for some low vision aids to be developed using the platform down the road.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. Keep in mind it's not a standalone unit yet. You still need an iOS or Android device, to pinpoint locations and get your notifications, because there is no Wi-Fi, there's no cellular built into the glasses. But that'll come. This is just the first generation. Yeah,
well, exactly. And not even the first generation. I mean, this is still being developed, right? This was a prototype that they were showing in the video. But what's interesting, the interesting part of that is that this heads-up display, it's a laser and it's being projected directly onto the retina. So there's, even if you have, say, prescription glasses and you're like me, so you have astigmatism, I could have, like, your central vision could be blurry because you need a prescription, but because this laser is shooting the heads-up display directly onto your retina, it's clear as can be.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And it's interesting. I mean, I think that there's a lot of vision-related applications that could be down the road. I mean, if you could build in, say, a camera and some OCR technology into this, you could literally have the camera OCRing text in front of you and then projecting it onto the retina, clear as day.
Well, they did say, too, it's not going to be like front and center on your eye. It's going to be in the bottom corner of your eye, so it's not, totally distracting you. You'll notice, you're always looking at stuff through your peripheral vision. And, if a notification pops up, your eye will, gradually go over there and see that. But it's not going to be like front and center.
No, but they could develop it. They could develop, sort of, I don't know, like brand new devices utilizing this sort of technology as a foundation to build whatever.
Sure.
You could really have some sort of vision augmentation system. So pretty exciting.
We'll see what the price point's going to be.
Well, and we'll see how it's received, and there's a ton of wearables. We keep hearing that wearables is the new thing, and it's certainly true.
Are you saying they're where it's at?
Although I did think it was ironic, though, that I also heard this morning about a bunch of ex-Google and Facebook employees that were now, I guess they've now formed some sort of a coalition or an advocacy group around the dangers of social media. Have you heard about this?
No.
Yeah, I don't recall what the name of the group is, but they're very serious about trying to change the way that social media is fed, because there's more and more, you hear more and more talks about how it's a dopamine feedback loop, and all kinds of all the social aspects of the way that we consume media these days.
Well, hold on. If it's a dopamine feedback loop, given the amount of time that I spend on Facebook, I should be higher in hell right now.
I actually just went through Facebook the last couple of days and unfollowed a whole whack of people because my newsfeed was just getting way too cluttered. I just couldn't get through it all.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
But no, it is interesting how there's sort of this anti-social media aspect, but then on the other hand, we have this technology that's pushing, even more intimate ways of getting fed news and notifications. So it's interesting.
We'll keep our eye on it.
Okay, what else we got? Steve, you got anything else you want to talk about news-wise?
Absolutely. There's one big piece of news.
Okay, what is it?
It's my dog's birthday today.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's 3?
Happy birthday, Daisy. Yep.
Is she 3 already?
She's
How
3,
time
yeah.
flies. What is
I know.
that dog years? That's 21.
Yeah, how about that? She's a legal person.
Yeah, she's legal. That's right. She can go down to the States and drink now.
Pour her a beer.
No, there's a couple articles I wanted to talk about. One of them is an article from thestar.com. Mm-hmm. The headline is "Fur and Fury in the Skies as More People Bring Emotional Support Animals on Planes."
Yeah.
I think I've heard of this.
Well, it's
Okay.
been all over the news and
Okay,
Facebook.
go.
And
Yeah. So there's a picture on this article of Daniel, an emotional support duck, on board a recent American Airlines flight. Okay. So
it's just gone too far.
I don't know.
well, and it's becoming a problem for people with guide dogs.
Legitimate service animals.
Actual trained service animals, and there's all kinds of things wrong with this. There's websites that are offering certificates for emotional support animals.
Vests
What?
you can buy.
Really?
Yeah. You can just go onto a website, and I could say, okay, Daisy is now my emotional support animal, and I would be able to get her on a plane with with a certificate that has no validity whatsoever.
You literally just buy the certificate for $20 and they just...
Yeah, there's no standards around
Wow.
certificates for emotional support
Yikes.
animals. And the airlines are basically, you show up with a certificate, good enough. So yeah, people are just basically, well, people are nuts. People are nuts. I mean, some of the examples, like the emotional support duck. Okay, that's a little weird. No, I'm not saying that the duck's not a legitimate support animal. I don't know that, but come on, really, a duck?
Well, if it went through actual certification and training by a recognized association, sure, I don't have a problem with that. But there is no certifiable, recognizable association that trains ducks to be therapy ducks.
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
Yeah, I can just see somebody showing up with their emotional support gator.
Well, it's going to cause real problems with the drug mules and stuff. Could be this is my emotional support bag of cocaine.
It's my emotional support pack mule with the bag of cocaine. Because he can carry more, and I need emotional support for that.
I did not realize that this was becoming such a problem. I mean, I know I saw an article the other day, something about an emotional support peacock that someone tried to bring on a plane that I guess got refused. But
Right, that's right, an emotional support peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this has been a problem. I mean, there was this news article from a few years back, I want to say, about the problem of those service vests. Like people were getting a hold of those service dog vests and just putting them on their Chihuahua and then being like, hey, I can take this to the mall or take it wherever.
Yep.
And it wasn't an actual support animal. So it's interesting that they're finally getting some blowback for some of this, and hopefully they can crack down on it, because you're right, it really makes the life of legitimate support animals that much harder, because they get looked at in a different way.
Well, a lot of, so Steve's probably got a lot of the same contacts I have on Facebook who are blind and visually impaired and have service, guide dogs, and they're being turned away from restaurants.
Ugh.
Yeah.
These dogs have gone through thousands of dollars of training, years of training at, licensed, legitimate schools, and it doesn't matter if you have your proof or not. They're turning you away.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if this is a case of where the public needs to be educated more, or the problem is that the public has been educated too much, because now that they've seen like, oh, hey, yeah, the service animals. Oh, yeah, I can get in on this. And they've started this idea of the fake service animal, or if it's just a matter of like, obviously restaurants, service industry, the travel industry, they need to be educated on what's a legitimate service animal and what's not, and maybe that's where the problem is.
Well, it's like it's a new type of scam, right? It's fraud. It's a money grab.
Yeah, I wish I'd gotten in on this, because I can make up a PDF of a certificate and charge $20 for it.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So the other story I wanted to talk about is Elon Musk's other company, the Boring Company.
Oh, really? What?
Are you familiar with the Boring Company?
No.
Okay, so he's had this idea of the Hyperloop, the high speed transportation system,
right,
to basically have a vacuum filled tunnel, fire basically a projectile full of people through the thing. And,
I love it.
And, potentially travel from, LA to, say, San Francisco in 10 seconds. Maybe not quite that fast. but yeah.
Jello Express.
For some reason, they've been, the Boring Company has been doing little side projects.
Wait, actually literally the name of the company is The Boring Company?
The Boring Company, yes. It's the company that would actually be making a hole in the ground.
Okay, got it.
For these things to travel through.
Okay, got it.
So one of their fundraising things has just wrapped up. They made a flamethrower, and they sold 20,000.
Oh, was that them who made the flamethrower?
They made the flamethrower.
Okay,
Hey,
and it's sold out in like a day.
Wait, it's an actual flamethrower.
It's an actual flamethrower. I've got pictures right here. We'll link it to the show notes. There's a little video in there as well. That hang on.
Yeah, they went for $500, and they were sold out within, I think, a day or two.
What?
Yeah, and they're legal.
That's legal?
That's legal. Yeah. There's no regulations either in the U.S. or Canada on flamethrowers, provided that they're under a 10-foot flame. I believe is the limit in the U.S. Otherwise, they're considered a military weapon. But there's no regulations on them in Canada, because nobody ever thought, oh sure, civilian flamethrower.
Well, I actually said to Linda when the story came out that, if we ever had an intruder break into the house, this would be awesome. I could just grab it from beside the bed, head down the stairs, and burn the crap out of this guy, right?
Yeah, because you don't really need.
I don't need a gun. I don't need.
But you don't need sight to use a flamethrower properly. I mean,
just
really,
aim where the sound is and fire.
That's incredible. And on the one hand, it's interesting, because the first thought that went in my head was that's stupid, and the second thought was I want one.
Exactly. So, which is remarkably the same process I went through. And I think a lot of other people. But
clearly.
And it wasn't that expensive. I think it was only...
I think it was $500.
Yeah, it was $500.
I'm already thinking of applications for it. I think it would be a hell of a lot of fun to light the barbecue light.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you could light your campfire in the rain.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. That would be great for camping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect.
Huh. Wow. So you can get those here?
No, they're sold out.
They're sold out. But could you have?
You could have, yes.
It was online.
Yes. They would ship that over the border.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, keep me posted. Let me know. Are you going to get one? If they
are you kidding? If they do another run of these things? I don't have $500 to spend on them right now, but
$500.
So tempting.
Put that on your wall.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just thinking how we could make an AT application of that. I mean, we could put a buzz clip on it or something, and some sort of IR recognition, so it could tell you when your target's
painted.
Painted in glorious flames.
Yeah, put your OrCam in front of it. That's right. Press this trigger button on the OrCam. There is a man in front of you. Press the trigger button again. There is a man in front of you on fire.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
What are we doing today?
Today we are speaking with owner-operator of MusicWorks Talent, Keith Lang.
Oh yeah, Keith. Yeah, you've been chatting back and forth with him for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, he actually reached out to us saying he thinks he'd be a great guest and have something to contribute to the show. So we emailed back and forth, and today he's here.
Today is the day.
All right. Well, let's make him work for his dinner.
Yeah. Joining us today is Mr. Keith Lang, who is the owner-operator of MusicWorks Talent, Inc., which is a full-service talent agency that's located way down there, West Palm Beach, Florida. Keith, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So just so you know, I came prepared.
Oh, we got competing cowbells. We can have dueling cowbells.
All right.
I brought my own cowbell just in case.
Excellent.
We'll do cowbell solos later.
That's right. So how do you want to proceed?
You know what? We're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants. We'll ask you a bunch of questions and just see where their conversation goes.
Okay.
That's our regular style. I mean, you've listened to the show. You kind of know what.
How unprofessional we are.
That's right. And now you can.
I know that you guys always say pretty outrageous things, and then you say, well, we'll edit that out.
You don't edit that out?
Well, some of them I do. Like, I just after the fact, I'm like,
I hear inappropriate things. I say, holy Jesus, these guys. And so, yeah, we'll edit that out, and then it never gets edited.
Yeah, no, you should see the stuff that does get edited out.
I'm sure,
So now you get a real peek behind the curtain.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to some past episodes.
Yeah, I told you. I told you guys to listen, but no.
The bottom line is that this takes place in the basement of Ryan's home?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah,
And that's where all of you are right now.
Yep. Yeah, we're all in the same room here, so talk amongst yourselves.
I can't believe that you didn't edit out the stuff you said you were going to edit out.
I edited out most of it, trust me. There's a few. I think there was last week that was a case. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's not bad. I'll leave that in. Now, I think you and Ryan have kind of been trading emails for a while, and I think Ryan's been sort of anxious to get you on the show for a few months now. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about MusicWorks.
So MusicWorks is a company that my wife and I started, and we're in our 31st year of business. So it's hard to believe that much time has gone by. But when I first moved down to Florida, I had been a drummer on the road for quite a while. And basically that was my skill set, was playing drums. And so I had to try to figure out what to do when I got down here. And, it was, difficult to come up with anything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But the bottom line with MusicWorks is, it's a bonded, licensed, full-service talent agency. We book all sorts of entertainment, bands, DJs, all sorts of events, everything from, galas at nice hotels here in the area to, just Billy's birthday party who's looking for a clown, that folds balloons, So it's been a great business, and and I love it.
And when is your busy season?
The busy season down here is pretty much from the beginning of October to about the beginning of May, and then it starts to dry up. So from about June through September, it gets pretty desolate down here because everybody goes up north. But then, that being said, you've got 6 million people that live in South Florida. So, I think most people don't pursue events during the summertime because that's also hurricane season down here. So you can have your event ruined if some hurricane decides to make its way towards the coast,
Nothing ruins a birthday party more than a good old-fashioned hurricane. And we should mention too that you are visually impaired. Tell us a little bit about your visual impairment.
I have Stargardt's disease, which is kind of an unusual deal, but I did not know that I was visually impaired till I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I just thought I was not good in school and just not good at sports, and So I'm 60, so I think that's pretty common for back when there were kids my age. They really didn't think about the eyesight that much. You know what I mean? At least where I live. So I have Stargardt's disease, and the way I can describe that is if you take a mirror and you spread Vaseline over a mirror, and then you hit it with a hammer, that's the way I see. It says there's certain parts that are relatively clear, there's certain parts that are very fuzzy, and there's certain parts that are just totally, blacked out.
What part of the eye does it specifically target, the disease?
The retina.
Okay.
It's described to me as scar tissue on the retinas.
It's essentially juvenile macular degeneration.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, so what intrigued me about your guys' show so much is that, the three of you get together, you talk about stuff, and it just occurred, and I've listened to several of your guests, and I don't think we've had anybody on like me that was like a guy that started his own business. It's tough, for the visually impaired and the handicap, obvious. But you start your own business, and I mean, this business has been incredibly, incredibly successful. I mean, it's been a great business, and not everybody has the built-in skills that I've got. They don't know what they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I was a drummer. So I could take all those years of drumming and playing music and stuff like that and then translate it into a business where I'm able to find entertainment for people. So it's a service that's, few and far between and kind of rare. And there's so many people out there that don't have that passion that, that makes life so much tougher on them, So I've been lucky as heck,
Well, absolutely, and we've actually recently had a few guests on, and these are episodes that might be published in the next month or so. But where they've talked a little bit about the attitudes that visually and across all disability groups really, but in general, or specifically, the conversation was about the visually impaired groups in particular, that society kind of looks on them and says, well, here's what you can do, and you can maybe fulfill this type of job or that kind of job, and they aren't always given the confidence that people who aren't visually impaired are, that you can do whatever you want, have dreams. Dream big, and you can fulfill those dreams if you work really hard at it. The visually impaired community isn't necessarily given that message, and that's something that needs to change, because in all honesty, with technology where it's at, there is nothing that a visually impaired person can't do. I mean, Steve has this great story about who is that person that didn't they go to law school using one of those really old...
Yeah, an Opticon, the handheld device that you ran over top of letters, and it put the shape of the letters onto an array of pins that you kept your finger on. And you literally read letter by letter with the thing.
Yeah.
And we had one customer who put himself through law school just using an Opticon to read all of his text.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. And so, that's definitely a message that we're interested, putting out there, that the time is sort of here that people shouldn't feel that they need to not dream big. Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to have people like you on who have, despite, whatever roadblocks, and we'll talk about this over the interview, I'm sure, what kind of roadblocks you came up against with your visual impairment that you had to overcome in order to become the successful business owner that you are?
Well, I think you guys touched on this a couple of weeks ago. I think just getting out of your own way at first, I mean, it can be extremely demoralizing and extremely depressing. Hey, it's one thing when I'm walking around here now as a business owner and, everybody calls Keith, call Keith, this is that, because, I mean, after 31 years, they better be calling me or I'm doing something wrong. But when I first started this out, and even now when the summer hits and it's deader than a doornail around here, I mean, I have 2 drawers in my desk. I have one drawer where I keep motivational tapes, and the other drawer I keep a bottle of whiskey and a pistol.
That's staying in.
Yeah, you're keeping that. That's gold. In fact, that might be the name of the episode. Actually,
it can become, your confidence gets shook. You're hanging out, you're waiting around for the phone to ring. So you really have to get off your behind and just say, you know what? I'm leaving the phones. I'm not going to bother with this. I'm going to go do something else. I'll go play drums. I'll go work on something. I'll go do yard work. I'll do whatever I got to do. But you just don't want to be held hostage, by this, because it gets depressing. So for me, fortunately, at this point, through the summer months down here, that's a big planning time. So I get phone calls a lot with people saying, Keith, here's my schedule for the entertainment I want to do this year. Can you give me some ideas? Can you give me this? Can you give me that? Here's my budget. Put together a calendar for me, please. Okay, sure. So there's a lot of busy work like that. But I think that's the biggest thing is people, if they have a plan. So for instance, when the way music works first started is I was going to the Lighthouse for the Blind down here, and they said, okay, let's, give you a test to see what you lean towards, So I took this whole battery of tests, and they said, well, you'd be a great artist. And it's just well, yeah, thanks a lot. I'm not going to make any money being an artist. But they helped me understand that. So it's basically, where my strengths were. So Lynn and I started I wasn't getting work as a drummer. So we started a DJ service. So we started doing DJ jobs because it doesn't cost a lot to put that together, and we just started doing it. And I would pick up the phone. You got to call people. You got to ingratiate yourself to them. Just whatever you can possibly do just to get the ball rolling. And then before you know it, you got a gig. And the most important part with all that stuff is if they say to you, can you do this? You say yes. Even if you've never done that before, just say yes. And then you can research it and figure out what you need to do. I mean, if you think you're going to get yourself in way over your head, then you want to be honest. But if you think that you're capable of doing it, then go for it. Take the leap. So one thing led to another with the DJ service, and then we got a grant, and it was a very modest grant. We needed a talent agency license, which I think at the time cost $500, and then we needed an surety bond, which I think cost $600, and then we needed a copier. So we bought a copy machine, and I think that was $1,000. So we had applied for a grant for $2,000, and we got it, and that was based on Lynn because she's a director at a hospital down here. She's smart as a tack, and she's fantastic. So we got that, and then basically that was it. And my goals were real small at the beginning. It was if I can just help pay the rent in the apartment we were living in, if I can just take some of the burden off of Lynn, then, so if I was making $50 here, if I was making $100 there, whatever was happening, that's what I would do, and that was the goal. And I would just work the phones every day. And then as time went on, then Music Works started to get a reputation, and then I was able to deliver, and I was able to get things done. But I would have people take me out, go to different properties, give them a flyer or a brochure or whatever, and just say, hi, I'm Keith from Music Works. I was hoping to meet with you about some of your entertainment needs. And you'd be surprised if you're nice on the phone and you're nice to people, and you'll get somewhere, regardless of what you're trying to sell.
Well, let me ask you this then. I mean, in those early days, how did your visual impairment sort of factor into it, or did it factor into it? And what were some things that you sort of had to overcome, in a way that somebody without a visual impairment maybe didn't have to?
Well, most of my clients know that I'm blind. Okay. And they know because, you look at them out of the corner of your eye, you don't look at them dead on. If you're just meeting someone for the first time, I know where my dead spot is. So if I look directly into my dead spot, then I'm looking into their face, So if I don't need them to know that I'm blind right off the bat, because it's just like, whatever, for whatever reason, I decide that, I'm feeling funky about it or whatever it is. So the challenges that I think I had when I first started with Music Works were overcome by joking around about it. It's like if people, just don't, it's just joke about it. Just have fun with it. Just like, roll with it. Like if they say like something like, so that Dixieland band that you're booking for me, what's the deal with those guys? And they'll just say, well, those guys show up sober, they'll do a great job. Don't worry about it. And if they say, Jesus, that band you sent me, and then, if they complain or whatever, then it's just like, most of my clients don't know that this is a blind man driving this bus with no brakes, so, this is the way it goes. But, you just make light of it, have fun with it, don't get too crazy about it. And then the more you put them at ease, the more at ease they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? The more comfortable they are. And then they're not all hung up about it. I mean, that's been my experience. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I mean, that's the deal.
Yeah, it's always, when you first meet somebody, it's always easier to put them at ease because a lot of people just aren't quite sure how to interact.
Right.
So, yeah, if you can make light of the situation, or, I don't know how many times I used to try to go into Steve's office and walk into the glass window that was there, but everybody gets a laugh out of it.
Well, I got the laugh more out of the fact that every time you did it, you went, caw.
Yeah, that's right. Ryan had the lovable nickname of Pinball.
Yep.
In the office, because he used to just kind of wander around the office and just ricochet off things.
Yep, my guitar picks have a logo of a pinball on them.
Yeah, he didn't believe in using the stick.
Not in the office.
But I think what you should do is like you hit the glass and you should hit the cowbell.
That's right.
But right. I think that I mean that's why I'm glad that I didn't know that I had poor eyesight until I was like 11 years old. By that time, I had been riding bikes, I had been breaking windows, I've been throwing balls, I've been, everything. I've been doing all the same thing all the other kids have been doing. But, because I can only imagine what, I don't know what my family would have done. I don't know how they would have treated me. I don't know if they would have said, you can't do that, don't do that.
Yeah, and I'm the same as you. I'm fortunate. I lost my sight at 23. So, like you, I biked, I balled, I did sports, I did all that stuff. So, I'm not sure how my family would have reacted either.
Yeah.
And I think the important part of the conversation is that these days it's very important for parents, and for even people who are losing their vision, say later in life, to realize that while there's some hurdles to overcome when you're faced with losing your sight, but those hurdles aren't insurmountable by any means. And it's an alteration of lifestyle, but it doesn't mean your life's over by any means.
You definitely have to surround yourself, though, with supportive people.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Jesus. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have Lynn. Lynn's been fantastic. I mean, she's a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
She's very supportive, but if you walk into the kitchen and she leaves a cabinet open and you smack your head on it, she immediately just says, "You'll be fine."
Walk it off.
I don't see blood. You're fine.
Yeah, walk it, or she leaves a chair out and you fall over on your head. It'll be fine.
Yeah, walk it off.
But no, I agree with you. I think that surrounding yourself with supportive people is, if you can, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, one absolutely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, but I also think that it's also important for society to send similar messages. I mean, this idea of learned helplessness that the society has been sending, the disability community needs to end. Like, they need to be encouraged and supported in ways that I don't think that they necessarily have in the past. And I see that changing. I see a bit of a groundswell on social media. And wouldn't you agree, Steve?
Well, I think probably one of the bigger things that has changed is you're seeing very, very few specialized institutional education systems anymore. Most kids with visual impairments now are going through the mainstream school system. And I think that exposure, both for them as well as for their sighted peers interacting with them, is super important because
that's a good point.
It changes perception, and people are figuring out that, hey, this guy's blind, but it doesn't mean he can't do X or Y. Whereas there were a lot of kids who grew up in institutional environments, specialized blind schools in the past, and quite honestly, some of those schools were pretty crappy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Out here we had the Jericho School, where there was all kinds of abuse and nastiness going on. That's not the case in all of them, and there still are some institutional schools, but they're very different from what they used to be. The role of people with disabilities in the community now is much more prevalent. You see a lot more people in wheelchairs, powered chairs. You see a lot more people walking around with the white cane these days than you ever did before. So slowly society is changing, but it's a gradual process, and it's a generational process.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's interesting. My sister has the same eye condition I do, and which I guess it was just some recessive genes or something that was, involved with my family. But she put herself through law school and college, and basically her situation was, her eyes, I think, were pretty much the same as mine, but she kept reading and reading and reading and reading, and she found the parts of her eyes that she could focus with, and she was able to read. She had to put the book up against her face, but she was still able to read. Now, if you do that for me, it's like I can't read it, because I just don't rely on reading. I mean, I've got a large print. I mean, I've got what are those CRT? What kind of
CCTVs?
Yeah, right, on my desk. So if I need to look at a contract or something like that, or I need to sign something, then I can put that on there. But they put Lauren, which is my sister, they put us both in special classes when we were kids, like 4th and 5th grade, stuff like that. And with other kids that were either mentally disabled, because there was, they didn't know what else to do.
Right.
They don't, you know what I mean? This was back then. This was a long time ago already, So I think, like, you're right. I think that, having the kids involved in the mainstream, and I just think, today's technology, I mean, this is like a godsend,
Right.
what's out there right now. When I first started MusicWorks, I had a woman that used to work for me named Evelyn. She would sit at a desk with a typewriter, and I would dictate the contracts to her, and she would bang them out. Now, I mean, I do all my own contracts. I have an assistant named Carissa, who's great. She's fantastic. And she does, she keeps the books and stuff like that. I mean, as far as like taking care of the calendars and stuff and making sure that we're not dropping balls. And then my wife, Lynn, does the books. Like, she does all the money. But as far as reading contracts, reading addendums, reading all sorts of stuff, I mean, I use Zoom Text.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoom Text, for me, does a great job. I mean, I know there's other screen readers out there that people love. But for me, Zoom Text has been like a life changer.
Right.
And so has the iPhone has been a life changer for me, simply for texting purposes. Because
Right.
now I can text the acts and say, hey, are you open? And I can get to them quicker. Because the last thing you want to do is be stuck on the phone call with like an entertainer who wants to tell you how open he is right now. You just want to be able to get these guys on and off the phone real quick so that you can just move on, And then the other tool that I think is absolutely fantastic is that Victor Reader
Yeah.
is fantastic. It's just a great, great tool. And I probably got the Victor Reader. I started getting what was the other company? You guys just mentioned it on a podcast the other day.
Plextalk?
They had those little tiny Victor Readers in a way. They were Geo Micro, or what's it called?
GW Micro?
No, there was the Bones players.
There's a Plextalk
the Milestones.
It was a micro. I'm not sure what that was, but I had one of those, and that broke. And then I got the Victor Reader. I would say in the past 5 years, I have probably read somewhere in the vicinity of 500 books.
Wow.
And these books now these books are like everything from Tale of Two Cities, that kind of stuff. Because it's easy to read a book while you're like walking around and you're like, vacuuming and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So but these are all books that I missed when I was in high school. Like, I couldn't read them. But these are all classics. Death of a Salesman, Tale of Two Cities. I mean, it's fantastic that we have this stuff available to us.
Absolutely.
I mean, what did we have before? We had like a record player for talking books. They'd send you records.
Yeah, I mean, they have absolutely have been game changers, and they're only getting better. There's now we've got the Victor Reader Trek that has GPS built into it as well. So yeah, I mean, more and more, it's just about making as much accessible as possible. And I mean, the Daisy players have been around for how long now, Steve?
Oh, goodness. Long time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the readers themselves haven't really changed too much, other than being a bit more compact and having more bells and whistles built into them. But I guess what has changed over the past few years is just the distribution models have gotten better and better, and more content has been able to be produced.
Well, we have a lot more choice too. The Amazon Kindles have accessibility now, so you could get Kindle books and read them on your Kindle. You've got the iPads and iBooks. You could read books from there. There's so many choices nowadays.
Yeah. Plus, there's commercial audiobook libraries that are massive now.
Right.
Like Audible.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the thing with National Library Service down here in NLS, so with the Victor Reader Stream, it says download a book. and then I'll say, okay, sure, I want to download a book. It says, so what do you want? You know, do you want to go by category, or you just want to go by most popular book, most recent book, most recent magazines? Say, oh, okay, I'll go with the most. Let me go with most popular books, and then it'll say, oh, found results, 85,000. So it's like that you start scrolling through, there's 85,000 books there.
And they're all 50 Shades of Grey.
85,000 shades of gray.
But, you know, and that's the other thing. When you're right. It's now what NLS and BARD is doing is they're taking commercial books and throwing them on there as well. So the ones that were, you know, that are like more of like an Audible book, they just throw them on there. So you'll get one that's either a commercial audio book, or you'll get one that was like read, you know, for National Library Service. So there's so many books. It's outrageous. And some of them are brand new. I just got that Fire and Fury book that came out about a month ago about Trump.
Oh, yes.
And that thing, they just beating him with a stick.
If only it was a bigger stick.
Yeah, they're just beating him with a stick. They're killing him.
And you know, Steve's biting at the bit. Whenever the word Trump is said, we've got to hold him back. So I'm going to change the subject real quick. Let me ask you this: Have you tried out any of the Google products, the Google Home, the Google Home Mini?
Yeah, I did. I bought one for Christmas for my wife, the Google Mini, and I also have the little. I have Alexa, and then I've got the little Alexa. What do we call the little Alexa?
The Dot?
Echo Dot.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I've got the Echo Dot hooked up to my stereo system in the living room, and I've got Alexa in the office, and then I have the Google Mini in our bedroom, and just to ask it to play the news, do this, that. So the Echo, Lynn buys crap all the time off so we've got, the unlimited music and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, which is awesome. And, but I use her all day long to do spelling. It's like, Alexa, spell this. Alexa, spell that. Alexa, $2,000 minus 75,000, or whatever it is. And she just tells you. So I use her for calculating. I use her for, I'd say for calculating mostly, and calculating and spelling mostly.
So
and music.
So I'm always interested in talking to people who are like you and have both systems in the home, because the only other person that I know of that I know that has that was Ryan. But let me ask you the question, what do you find are the major differences between the Google and the Amazon, and which does what better?
Well, so I'm not giving Google a totally fair try, because Google's doing the stuff to me that Alexa did to me when I first got it, which is like, hey, play this song. Oh, I can't play that song for you because you're not, spending enough money on me. So screw you, and here you go. But I would say, personality-wise, Google's a lot more fun in general and cuts to the chase a lot quicker. So It's like, if you say to Google, hey, what's the temperature outside? And you say, it's 76 degrees. And if you say to, hey, what's the temperature outside? She'll say, today's temperature is X, Y, Z. Tonight you can expect more. Like, I don't need to know all that crap. I just,
Right.
So, or if you say to Google, what time is it? He'll just say the time, bing, boom, boom. As opposed to Alexa, it'll say like, the current time is, so it's like,
Right. I guess the Alexa feels a little bit more canned and Google feels a little bit more conversational.
Right. Like if you play Lucky Trivia with Google it's a little game show, and it's fun, as opposed to you play a game with and you feel like, Jesus.
I'm playing trivia with a Roomba.
She's fine. I mean, she's great, but it's, and I don't know how you are with it, Ryan, but I feel like you can really delve into these things, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface with them. I just use the things I need out of it, and that's that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have a Google Home here in the basement that I have connected to a Chromecast, and I can just tell it to watch whatever on Netflix, and it, boom, goes through my home theater and comes through my surround sound. I like the more natural spoken language to the Google Home. I find, I have an Echo Dot upstairs as well connected to my stereo, and I'll use it for listening to music. But with the Echo, there are so many skills to browse through, and to pick and choose one and enable it, and then you don't like it and disable it. To me, it's just kind of clunky.
Yeah, well, what I use. That's the other thing that we should probably touch on. And when it comes to is for a mental state of mind, is I exercise a lot, and I use some of the tools that are on Alexa. So there's a program on there, 5-minute plank workout, which is basically like a core strengthening program. Mm-hmm. And you do it, takes 5 minutes. She says, okay, assume this position, okay, assume that position, okay, assume this position, and she times you on each thing. And then she also has a workout program, like a 10-minute aerobic workout. And she also has a abs workout. And, these are things that I think are very, very important, especially for your emotional well-being, because, if you're sitting around and you're waiting for the phone to ring, or you're sitting around and you're feeling like you're not getting anything done in life, or you're feeling like everything's crap, at least if you go for a walk, or you're able to do a workout, or you're able to do something, whether it's you get some videotapes, or whether you do yoga, or whatever you do, just do it, because you'll feel better when you're done. Because at least you release some sort of energy, and it's just like things don't look so bad when you get to the other side of it.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we had Ryan Sturgeon on, who talked to us a little bit about mental health and disability, and that was one of his big tips was exercise is key.
Yep.
And that's for everybody across the board, but...
And for us up here, vitamin D. Got to supplement your vitamin D.
Right, and not everyone lives in Florida. It's so I can go out today. It's gorgeous out. It's like 70-something degrees.
Oh, sure, rub it in.
Okay, shush. Enough of that.
So are you guys? So you guys are
more cowbell.
The coldest place I've been is Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, yeah.
We're on the West Coast. We're Vancouver.
Yeah,
so
they do cold.
Yeah, we're probably, 50 degrees Fahrenheit today or something.
We're just being babies, actually. We have it probably the best out of all of Canada right now. I know I talked to a friend who was in Calgary. He said it was minus 22 over the weekend. So we've got nothing to complain about. We complain about some drizzle.
Well, our drizzle, though, January had 3 days of no rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when you're in Florida and you say, so what's the temperature in Toronto? And she tells you, what's the temperature in New Bedford, Massachusetts? And she tells you, and you say, what's the temperature in Rockford, Illinois? She tells you, and then you ask about Winnipeg, Canada. It's like cold as hell. But then when you ask about Vancouver, it's like disappointingly warm.
Those bastards.
They're not freezing enough in Vancouver.
Yeah, the people in Winnipeg would agree with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Winnipeg's rough.
Yeah, nobody goes to Winnipeg. And people in Winnipeg, I think they're just trying to get out, but the planes can't take off because it's too cold.
They're frozen in place.
What I wanted to ask you guys about, so Steve, explain your company to me. So what exactly is, and Ryan, you're working there now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an assistive technology company.
Does your company do?
We do equipment for low vision and blindness, as well as some stuff for physical disabilities as well. But primarily, I'm focused around education and low vision and blindness in education, and with a pretty strong focus on Braille.
So we sell your Zoom text, we sell your CCTVs, we sell Victor Reader streams, all that sort of assistive technology.
It'll change your life.
Yeah, Steve's been in the industry, 30 years now?
27.
27, and there's a lot of stories that, he has seen people's lives changed by technology.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's why we're all here. I mean, we all have a passion for it, for the same reason. We all worked together at the previous assistive technology company for many, many years, and you get to see the effect that assistive technology can have on people's lives and how much it empowers people, and you get a real passion for it. And we're all dug in here. We want to stay in that field because it's so incredibly rewarding. Yeah.
And just can't imagine to go off and do something else. I came to assistive technology after working for a photocopy repair company for 3 years, and I tell you, it's very, very different. When somebody says, "Hey, my assistive technology isn't working. This is a problem." You kind of feel like, yeah, this could be a problem for you, because that's how you interact with the world and work. And somebody says, "Hey, my photocopier isn't working. It's the end of the world."
That's right.
It's like, shut up and stop being dramatic.
Yeah, it's all relative. You know what I mean? It's like, no. They don't get it, but I hear it. I mean, it's like if my email's down or something like that, it's like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
My email went down the other day, and it's because I turned my computer onto airplane mode and didn't know that I did it.
Keith, anything that we didn't touch on about the business that you want to talk about?
I guess if you guys got any questions about it, it's a fascinating business because I think that's the other thing that I think that people should realize that they can, if they do decide to get into business,
right? They
should definitely have some sort of business plan. They should definitely have a passion for it. It's not about money. It's about service. If you're in the service industry, which ultimately this is, I'm not selling products. So it's all about service first, and money will take care of itself. It's something I learned a long time ago. What you do after a problem makes all the difference in the world of what happens. So if you have a problem with a client, if the band screwed up, someone screwed up, you screwed up, like you didn't give the person the correct information you should have given, you drop the ball. How you handle yourself after that kind of problem makes all the difference in the world. If you're going to have a problem, own it, apologize for it, don't beat yourself up, move on, make it right. I think that was something for the past couple of weeks or last month, I've been thinking about all the different things I wanted to, make sure I said to you guys. And one of the things, there was a radio station down here when I first got here called WNN, which was Winners News Network. And it was like this rare little gem that was all about, it was a motivation station. It was all about, all it was 24 hours a day of different motivational speakers. And it was on AM radio. And I used to listen to this religiously because I felt like crap the entire time while I was down here. When I was, when you leave a full-time job and then you come to nothing, it's rough. So whatever motivational books they can get their hands on, there's a great book that I read a long time ago, Guerrilla Marketing, which I'm assuming they've made Guerrilla Marketing a new book or updated it. but guerrilla marketing is basically about how to do marketing on a shoestring budget. And when you're first starting out in business, it's very, very important to make sure that you live well within your means, that you don't go crazy spending money on stuff you can't afford to spend, because it's a recipe for disaster. So I think whatever motivational materials they can get on, whatever principles that they can adhere to, these are things that'll get you through the tough times, because there's tough times being in business by yourself. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think
Right?
Steve can relate.
Yep.
Keep your eyes on the road, take care of your clients, and you can't go wrong. But first, you got to figure out what the hell you want to do.
Right. And that's usually
That's the
the
toughest
big
part.
one. Yeah, and from there, I would say that these days, the most important message that we want to send is dream big, and whatever you figure out what you want to do and do it, because really these days there isn't really a heck of a lot that anybody can't do despite any sort of disability that they have. I mean,
That's right.
We've seen everything. We've seen some amazing stories doing 88 episodes of the podcast. I mean, we've from Stump Kitchen to what was that? What's the name of that fella? The Two Dudes podcast. The guys that did the
Two
Race Across
Disabled
America.
Dudes. Yep. Christine Haw, the blind master chef.
Yeah,
Originally impaired master chef.
And I mean, these don't have to be standout stories. They are amazing people in their own rights, but they're also just regular people, just like everybody else. And I think that's right. That's the most important message to send, is that those don't have to be exceptions to the rule at all.
No, I feel like if you are level-headed about stuff, the world is at your feet. So, it's just a matter of degree. I mean, we don't have to be Donald Trump. Where's that? Hold on one second. No, but I'm just saying that it's like we don't have to be the richest. We don't have to be. We just have to find purpose, feel good about ourselves, because that's where it's at.
Wow, this has been an incredibly positive podcast. You can tell because we have no Apple news today.
Wow, we can't post this show. It's too positive.
That's right. We'll have to do. I'll edit in some.
Yeah,
I've been drinking the entire time.
I was going to say we'll let you go, and then we'll trash talk you after, just to bring some balance into this.
Must be balanced.
Okay, I'm looking at that. Yeah.
So, Keith, tell people where they can find you on the web.
You can find me at musicworkstalent.com. musicworkstalent.com. If you want to find us on Facebook, we're there, and you can like us on Facebook if you like. And if you want to email me, you just hit the contact button on the website, and that'll come straight to me. And when I'm sober, I'll answer it.
So when this AT Banter podcast gig gives up the ghost, we can come down to West Palm Beach, and you can hire us. We can hire you.
I would turn you guys into like balloon sculptors.
Yes, that's long been my dream.
You know what? At this time of year, being a balloon sculptor in Florida sounds really good.
Actually, it is.
For this technique, if I say to someone, "Oh yeah, this is a clown that twists balloons," or if I say this is a high-tech balloon sculptor, I mean, you know what I mean? I get more money for the high-tech balloons.
Right.
No, I think that you guys would be excellent at that.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Probably better than at podcasting.
No, I think the podcast is a wonderful podcast, guys. I really do. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I really think this is a great podcast. I don't reach out to podcasts at all, and I reached out to you guys because I just thought, these guys are as talking turkey, and this is good. And maybe if we can just change just a few people's lives, that'd be great.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out to us because, we like having people on from all walks of life. And
we certainly like listeners, having listeners on. So absolutely, we appreciate you taking the time and chatting.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow, that was entirely too positive. Can we throw some negativity into this podcast now?
Yeah, clearly we need to.
Wow.
No, although all my mind is going to is what kind of balloon animals I could maybe sculpt.
I've never been able to make balloon animals. I've tried.
I think I could be a pretty good snake.
Yeah.
I think I could make a lot of snakes.
Yeah.
Bachelorette parties, I can make penises, I feel like. So I feel like I could be versatile.
There you go. Flexibility is important, as we have learned.
You found your passion.
That's true. I think I just found my passion to go to Florida. Although, I don't know, I wouldn't want to be down there for hurricane seasons at all. I don't think I would want to live down in Florida. It's bad enough we live in an earthquake zone.
Yeah, still waiting.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. You should listen to, there's a podcast on CBC called Fault Lines. If you really want to be terrified, you should listen to it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll stock up your earthquake kit after you listen to that.
Yeah, it's something I've been meaning to do for a while.
Yeah,
me too.
We talk about it too every time there's one in Alaska or there's one somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, there you go. See, we managed to get off the positivity and talking about earthquakes already.
Now the sky is falling.
And how woefully unprepared we are. We will all probably die in the
guitar dungeon.
If not in the earthquake itself, but in the aftermath, because we'll be starving because we can't eat guitars.
Oh, thanks for that, Rob. That's
no problem. No problem. Okay. Whew.
I'll make
it's either that or bring up something Apple related.
I'll make sure I have a supply of Spam over there in the corner, just in the odd chance.
Can you even get Spam here anymore? Is Spam
Probably.
even a thing?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Spam and Spork.
Prem.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Scrape the gelatin off the meat.
Yummy.
Gelatin. I used to love fried Spam. I used to love fried Spam sandwiches.
Did you really?
Yeah, with mustard and Yeah, must have been an Alberta thing, maybe.
No, I feel like I've heard that before. I've heard people who've done that before. So. Yeah. Hey Ryan,
Rob,
where can people find us?
They can find us online at www.atbanter.com.
They can also email us if they desire, atbanterpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're so inclined and into those social media networks, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. And if Rob will ever send me the logon info, you might see some stuff on Instagram, too.
You'll see something on Instagram soon. We're going to do it later.
Okie dokie.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Rob.
This isn't scripted at all.
Is it not?
But where can people find you on the internet?
Well, people can find me at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com.
And where can they find Rick Chant, perchance?
Rick Chant, repairer of all things assistive, can be found at chaostechnicalservices.com. That's CHAOS technicalservices.com.
I think we can call it a day.
All right, let's call it.
All right.
It's a day.
I need a flamethrower.
No,
I really do now. Now it's really in my head.
Let's make our own. What could possibly go wrong?
You know what? I think I'm gonna actually search on YouTube when I get home and see if there's got to be unboxing videos out there then of people like opening their flamethrowers and trying them out. There's.
Yep.
All right, there's my afternoon. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening in this week. We will see everybody next week.
You've been Rob Minow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe we're going to change the this whole I have been Rob Minow thing.
You're supposed to be changing the theme music too months ago.
What?
Yeah.
No, I thought...
Yeah, we were going to change the music.
Oh, you want to change the music. Yes, yes. Right. All right, fine.
Get on it.
Okay, thanks for turning all the positivity on its head, Ryan.
It's my job.
Uh-huh. All right, I have been Rob Minow. You guys have been dicks. And we'll see everybody next week. No, okay. I have been, that might get it. I have been Rob Minot.
I've been Ryan Fleury.
And I'm still Steve Barclay. The cowbell is still the cowbell.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.